Most people, 75% of America is walking around critically dehydrated, like critically dehydrated. We need regular just movement, walking, doing, the dishes, doing the laundry, gardening. One would be nutrition. Number one would be that sort of looking at reducing carbohydrates. And again, it's a gentle movement away from processed foods into about 100 grams of carbs a day, which is by no means a low carb diet. It's, Atkins is 50, keto's 20, 25. Like, you're not low carb, but it's giving you just enough of a push to say, let me look at this meal and see what I can do to zhuzh it into higher protein, a little bit more healthy fat, and lots more vegetables. I think the pillar that blows people's minds the most is that hydration. I'm asking you to get 100 ounces of water in a day, which to me is nothing at this point. I'm like, oh yeah, I blow through that, no problem. Most people, 75% of America is walking around critically dehydrated, like critically dehydrated. So none of their systems, we're 65% water, with our brain and our heart being up to 78% water. Your brain and your heart are your two metabolic powerhouses. So if those are completely empty, low on gas, not functioning, you're not going to feel your best. You're going to mistake thirst for hunger. So hydration is huge. Movement. So I separate movement and exercise as two pillars. People are often like, I don't understand, right? I'm trying to get people to understand that we are hunter-gatherers. We need regular just movement, walking, doing, the dishes, doing the laundry, gardening. Those kinds of things are essential for our bodies. So I'm trying to get people to add 100 minutes of movement to their week. So that could be, 5 20-minute walks with friends, walk breaks. I often counsel clients to get a headset, and when they have calls, I have them trigger themselves to stand up until it becomes a habit where every time the phone rings, they stand up and they pace during their calls, because we need to not be in this position for so many hours a day when we have restricted blood flow to the legs, we have a lower heart rate, things that don't help us. So movement, exercise is just 100 minutes of exercise. Again, I'm coming from a gentle move from maybe no exercise into 100 minutes in a week. Now that could be just 3 30, 35-minute sessions during the week of, getting that heart rate pumping and starting to stress the skeletal system. Gently starting that and then pressing further with that once that becomes your habit. And stress. So 100 minutes of stress relieving exercises. So that could be learning to meditate for 10, 15 minutes a day. That could be getting massage. That could be even yoga, some restorative yoga that relieves stress. It could be reading or knitting. People just don't understand the stress response in our body. And we are in a horrible environment at this point, right? They estimate even just the lighting in most of the large, big box stores is so stressful to our system that we are in a huge fight, like going to Costco, fight or flight the entire time. Like just that particular type of lighting. So in the fight or flight scenario, very simply, your body is grabbing a tiny bit of fat to power your run away from whatever danger is coming your way. Once your body grabs that tiny little bit of fat, your entire system says, oh boy, we're losing our body fat. We gotta make her hungrier so she eats more so we can restore that body fat so that we're safe if the nuclear winter comes, right? So your entire system, if we don't learn to kind of quell the stress response, we're gonna keep being driven to overeat, driven towards high fat, high salt, high sugar foods, because those are the ones that release the serotonin and get the stress down. So stress is a big piece, and sleep, which I think is, again, another place that most people, especially, working one-to-one with people, we're like a mess. And that is when we detox. That is when our bodies kind of restore and get ready and renew. And if you miss sleep, you're going to be hungrier. You're gonna have about a 30% gap between this ghrelin and leptin, right? So ghrelin tells you to go eat, leptin tells you to stop eat. We got a big gap there, and ghrelin is winning when you haven't had enough sleep. So those are the pillars that I'm really trying to get people to think about.